Christmas at Keestone is a nice idea. I think it deals with a really important topic, and I don't think it handled that badly. But as a film, as a piece of entertainment, well, it's not very good. This was released last year in 2023. It's directed by Raelyn Borba and written by Meggie Jenny. And we have a cast including Ben Graham as John Williams. And Williams goes to the Keestone Resort for Christmas, and he went there regularly with his late wife, and the film partly deals with obviously the emotional impact of losing his wife, going to this place, and certainly around the holidays as well. But he also gets a chance at a new relationship, a new chance at love, and he's battling with conflicting emotions about staying true to his wife's memory or allowing himself to feel potentially romantic feelings for somebody else. And I think that that's such an important topic. I know I've never lost a loved one in that way myself, but I know that it's quite a common feeling for somebody who has lost a spouse or a partner to never know when it's okay to allow themselves to open up their heart to somebody else. So I think it does a really good job of handling that. I think there could be a lot of comfort and support for anybody in a similar situation. Credit where it's due. It did a good job with that. And I'll continue with some praise before I mention the things that are not great at all. I will say the location is beautiful. It is actually filmed at a place called Keestone in Tennessee, and it looks gorgeous. It's a really nice setting. I really thoroughly enjoyed that part of it. It definitely has a strong festive feel to it, some really gorgeous decorations, and the music is really good as well. However, there are other things that I did not like, and they were so prominent that I really couldn't enjoy this. And the first thing is the acting. A lot of the acting is not great. And this was pretty much immediately apparent. Nobody is dreadful, by which I mean there isn't anybody in this who seemed like they were just reading off of a script, but it still felt quite wooden, pretty much across the board. I won't single anybody out specifically, largely because I just found that a lot of the performances were not great. But I could maybe overlook that and get on board with it if everything else was fine. But the camera work is really appalling as well. And I don't usually notice bad camera work. I'm not a videographer. I'm not great with the technical aspect of filmmaking. But for me to notice it, it has to be bad. I'm sure there are plenty of films that I look at and say, the camera work looked fine. And a professional would look at it and say, no, it wasn't. So I'm easily pleased. So if I'm noticing that the camera work is bad, it has to be off. And unfortunately, it was pretty much every scene. There were a couple of scenes that were okay, but for the most part, in my mind, I could see the camera person behind the camera. I could envision them operating it. And that's not what you want. You want to be able to watch a film and kind of forget that you're watching something that was recorded on a camera. You want to be immersed in the moment. But I was constantly picturing the camera person and the camera, because the camera work was so bad, I was just constantly reminded of it. And it just doesn't work at all. There were some really bad angles as well. And that, coupled with some really bad acting, meant that scene by scene, it was just not good. It wasn't enjoyable. In fact, it was really irritating. And I really hated Madelyn and Whisper. And interestingly, well, it's not that interesting, but to begin with, I thought Whisper was really annoying. But actually, as the film went on, I found that Madelyn became more annoying and Whisper wasn't as annoying. So for part of the film, one of them was okay. For the other part of the film, the other one was okay. So I never really cared for either of them, but the characters were really annoying. And I don't want to say too much about this, but as I said, there is a potential romantic aspect with Williams, and I don't think it was a good match. I didn't believe the relationship. I don't think it worked very well. So I don't think either the casting worked or the way the characters were written. I'm not sure what the biggest issue is, but either way, I didn't believe the romantic aspect. It wasn't convincing. So honestly, there are some good things about this. The music is good. The location is attractive. And I think they handled the emotional aspect of John Williams and what he was going through quite well. But unfortunately, the acting, for the most part, is not good. The camera work is terrible. a lot of the characters are annoying, and I don't buy into the romantic aspect because it wasn't convincing, and I don't think they made a good couple. Maybe that one's personal preference, I don't know. But either way, for me, that was just another thing that didn't work. Do I recommend it? No, unfortunately, I don't. Christmas at Keystone is a nice idea. I guess unless you're. I don't recommend it unless you're perhaps in a similar position to John Williams, in which case you might find it to have some meaning and some purpose for you. But otherwise, if you're just looking for a good film, then unfortunately, Christmas at Keystone is not going to be that film.